Hey everyone, it's Cheryl Lawson. Thanks for listening in. So sorry it's been so long since you've heard my voice and we've been able to chat, or at least you've been able to listen to me run my mouth. But everything's been great, and I just have not turned back to my Spreaker, and hopefully this will be the first of several more to come. And if there's anything you want to ask me about or want me to chat about from my perspective, please don't hesitate to post it in the comments or shoot me a tweet at Party Aficionado or at SM Tulsa Cheryl. Yes, my Twitter account has changed for my Tulsa self. And as people who attended the Social Media Tulsa conference will attest to, it was either cutting my hair or changing my Twitter ID. And so, thankfully to some, I decided to change my Twitter ID for the Social Media Tulsa side of my personality. And speaking of my hair, those of you who may not know, I wear my hair in something called sister locks. And sister locks are a form of natural hair where the hair is locked using a tool. Learn more about it at sisterlocks.com, because that's beside the point here. After moving back to my hometown in Tulsa, Oklahoma, from my last place of employ and residence, California, I found myself struggling to find anyone who could do my hair. And Sister Locks is an actual technique. It's not something that just anybody can do. And because I've worn my hair like this for more than 15 years, I don't necessarily trust it to just anybody. So the dilemma then brings me to having to travel to Midwest City every 6 weeks or so to get my hair done. And so sometimes you'll see me checking into a place, or you'll see tweets that say hair did. And so that's what I'm talking about. I have driven the hour and a half to sometimes 2 hours to Midwest City to get my hair done. And one of the struggles that I always have is driving from Tulsa to the Oklahoma City or Midwest City area. As soon as I get on the Turnpike, the stretch of toll road that divides Oklahoma City and Tulsa, I lose connectivity. And using the service I use T-Mobile now. I have a Galaxy S3. Love the phone. As soon as I get on the Turnpike, I lose connectivity. And at our last meetup for Social Media Tulsa, I found that I wasn't the only one. So what I'm going to talk about today is, fortunately, after my relationship with Verizon Wireless in working with them doing the Social Media Tulsa conference, the person I was working with recommended me for their ambassador program, which I'd heard a little bit about and wasn't really sure that I was the kind of blogger that they would be interested in. But I was happy to test out not only the new phone that they gave me, because it's the BlackBerry Z10, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but also to determine whether or not Verizon would be a better service for me while I was here in Tulsa. So a little backstory. I ended up with T-Mobile several years ago after experiencing in Southern California the other carriers just not working at all from my house. So somebody who works out of their house, AT&T would not work at all from my home. In fact, as soon as I made the turn to our street, the service would cut out. Sprint was a little better. I could actually speak on the phone when I was at the house, but I had to step outside. And T-Mobile was really the only service that would work from my home in Riverside, California. So that's how I ended up using T-Mobile and just keeping my number and moving with me to Oklahoma. But unfortunately, because of how I have to travel within the state, T-Mobile just fails miserably every single time I get on the Turnpike. And Most of the time I'm driving by myself to get my hair done. Sometimes I'll take my friends or family. Sometimes the dog will ride with me. But driving by myself, it's not a long distance, but if something were to happen, I usually lose connectivity, or at least I'm down to the E, right? So when you go from 4G to 3, or the G, and then down to the E. So I have virtually no service on my phone, but I'm fortunate that I haven't had any emergencies. The other thing that makes it difficult is I'm not able to listen to music from my phone, and Pandora is one of my favorite apps on the Galaxy S or on any Android phone, and so I like listening to Pandora. I get to pick my station. I don't have to worry about losing radio station from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. I can just pick the station or do a mix of my favorite Pandora stations and enjoy my ride to Midwest City. But unfortunately, with T-Mobile, as soon as I get on the Turnpike, that is over with. So it's either find a radio station or, get a CD, which I don't think I've purchased in forever, and or have the songs downloaded onto my phone, which just makes it really inconvenient and takes up too much storage. So when Verizon asked me to participate in their program, this was my opportunity to test and see if their service worked on the Turnpike, to be honest with you. I really felt like, one of their restrictions or their request was, hey, you need to blog a couple of times a month about the phone and the service, and tweet and post social media updates while you have the phone. And I thought, well, that may seem unnatural or whatever, but I did like the fact that they said, give your opinion about the phone and the service. So they weren't trying to influence what I felt about the service in any way. But they did give a lot of instructions on making sure that we're following the FTC rules about blogging and using social media when we have been given a product to test out or to review. So the disclaimer you see at the beginning of the comments and in the blog post is what is the approved language that we're using, so that that I've been given the phone and the service to try out for free, at least through the end of June, and we'll see if they like me enough to extend or keep me a part of the program. But so I did get the BlackBerry Z10, and I will tell you the BlackBerry. I've never been a BlackBerry person. So a lot of people, especially those of us who were in corporate America back right when the introductory of the smartphone came out, a lot of people went to the BlackBerry, right? That was the official business phone. And I never did. I don't know why I didn't. Our company didn't provide smartphones. So I always had my own phone and got to choose what phone I used. So I never went to the BlackBerry. I always had like the flip phone or whatever other phones were out there. And I went straight from flip phone to the G1, the first Google Android phone through T-Mobile. And so I didn't go through what a lot of people went through from the BlackBerry to the iPhone. I didn't go through that little keyboard withdrawal, and I didn't miss the BBM. So I know a lot of people that use BlackBerry are just obsessed and tied to BlackBerry Messenger. So I'm fortunate that I didn't have to go through that. So trying the BlackBerry OS for the first time was really interesting for me because, I'm used to coming from Android, and of course I've experienced the Apple products. So the swipe technology is similar but different. The apps store is completely non-competitive with the others. But what I did find was an app that allowed me to, so let's say, for example, Pandora is not available on the BlackBerry, but there's an app called Apollo that allows me to connect to my Pandora account, right? So there's a lot of that going on with the BlackBerry, and I get it. I don't have a problem with it because I was one of the first Android users, I get the pass-throughs and the workarounds for now. And so I'm sure that their at market will grow and get a little bit better as their user base grows and people are getting used to this new BlackBerry operating system. So, or the revised BlackBerry operating system, as it were. So, but that aside, the phone is okay. It's the Z10. It's a little thicker, I think, than the maybe not, than the Galaxy S3. Maybe it's about the same. It just kind of seems a little chunkier. It's white, similar to the iPhone. I think the operation and getting used to using it was the problem, like how it swipes and how you turn it even on, and those kind of things were really odd for me until I gave it to one of our attendees at one of our meetups. He brought his 8-year-old daughter. I gave it to her, and she figured it out pretty quickly. So although we all kind of struggled with the swiping differently, swiping up and over as opposed to right and left. So we'll let Apple and Samsung battle out that technology, and BlackBerry has found a different way, I guess, is what I'm saying. So anyway, back to the test, right? Getting in the car and driving to Midwest City. Which one worked, which one didn't? Of course, I took both phones with me, and I had Apollo loaded up on the BlackBerry with Verizon, and I had Pandora loaded up on the Samsung Galaxy. And of course, as soon as I got, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 miles into, maybe not even that, I think maybe a mile into my drive, I completely lost connectivity with the T-Mobile network. But I'm very happy to say that the Verizon network took me from Tulsa to Midwest City with no problems, no interruption in service. I listened to my Pandora station using the Apollo app the entire way. Now, one thing that I thought was, really disturbing, because first I'm thinking, well, this is about listening to Pandora for an hour and a half while I have a little short road trip. But really, it's about having the use of your phone when you're on the road, especially if you're a female and you're by yourself. And one service actually did better than the other. And for me, that makes me feel safer. And one of the things that I noticed too was Google Maps. So on the T-Mobile, on the Samsung phone using T-Mobile, I wasn't even able to say, okay, now I'm getting closer to the city, which is getting at the end of the turnpike. I need to plug in my address to make sure I get on the right freeway and make sure I get the right exit. And I mean nothing. I wasn't able to plug in the maps. I wasn't able to get direction. I couldn't plug in the address. So the services of the phone while somebody is traveling is not available on T-Mobile when you're on that turnpike, and that's just not comfortable for me. So I'm very happy with the fact that Verizon, I was able to go on their Maps app. I think it's a version of Google Maps, and so I was able to plug in the address that I was going to, and it gave me turn-by-turn directions. The voice is a little different, but it did give me turn-by-turn. I was able to screenshot it, and I'll show some of the screenshots when I do the blog post. But it worked, and it worked while I was listening to the Pandora station via Apollo. So I didn't have to shut one thing down in order to open another thing up. And so that really meant something to me as far as how the phone works, how the service works when you're out on the turnpike. And that was my test for Verizon versus T-Mobile. So I would like to hear your experience with what service you use, and does it work on the turnpike here in Oklahoma. I did hear from one of our attendees too that U.S. Cellular owns all the towers. I don't know if that's true or not, but which may be why T-Mobile isn't working. So let me know what service you use, and if it works on the Turner Turnpike, it'd be great for me to have a list of those that work, since it seems like I'll be headed that way. I mean, we go to Oklahoma City and Norman and Midwest City all the time, so it'd be great to have a phone that would last and take us there. So if you have suggestions, please feel free to add them. If you have comments about my review or my babbling, please don't hesitate. If you have questions about the Verizon Wireless Ambassador program, I'll add the link to how you can learn more about that in the comments as well. So thanks for listening, and I promise I will be back more, because I love talking to you guys. Well, which means I like talking to myself, because you're not talking with me. So you guys have to call in. That's the only thing. All right, so I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.